Welcome, everybody, to today's webinar. Today, we're going to be talking about the lawsuit language alerts, what to say and what not to say at your next listing appointment with our host with the most, Darryl Davis. To get the most from today's session, we want you to take really good notes, and we want you to use that Q&A panel to ask any questions you might have throughout the entire session, but don't stress if we don't get to them right away. We are going to take those at the end, so don't bounce at the top of the hour if you don't have to. To reach us at any time after today's session, you can reach us on all social media channels at Darryl Speaks. Darryl's the author of 3 books, all published by McGraw-Hill Publishers. That first one you see, How to Become a Power Agent in Real Estate, is one of the best-selling books to agents on Amazon. Darryl was named this year by Risk Media as one of the top real estate newsmakers and influencers, his 4th year in a row. And he is the recipient of the coveted CSP designation, which is only given to less than 2% of speakers worldwide. On that note, Darryl, you got this.
Thank you very much, Julie. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I want to welcome you to this training that we've been doing. Just so you guys know, we have been for some of you that are new with us, we've been for the past several weeks, we've been doing these trainings about this lawsuit and how it can impact you and how to navigate around it, how to work through it. I do want to shout out to just a couple or 4 people that have sent some notes to us. And I just want to thank them, like Kathleen Turner saying, this is amazing information. You're giving us more than our own MLS Association of Realtors and NAR. Thank you. Also, we got Darryl. Let me just put my glasses on for this. Darryl, you should represent us. You have the data to present a strong case in the courtroom from Anthony. Thank you very much, Anthony. Debbie Perkins, she said, Darryl, I'm so honored to be part of the Power Agents. The defense should have hired you as the key witness in the NAR Commission's case. And also, Dawn, she said, Darryl's the best. I'm so happy he's on top of this for us. None of the brokers who have been interviewed in the media are explaining the issues well. I vote for Darryl to represent us as a spokesperson. I just realized that every one of these testimonials are saying that I should run for being a legal team member or president of NAR. So thanks, everybody. I just get another 1 million people. We're good to go. All right. But I just wanted to thank those people very much, actually. So all kidding aside. Now, I have the question I do want to address for some of you, because I can tell when you're logging in that you're new folks and this is your first time being here. So I want to welcome you. And I want to address this question that we always have when we're new to any speaker, and that is this a sales pitch? It is not. But I will say, to be transparent right at the beginning, this is part of a weekly training that we do for our coaching members. They're called Power Agents. And so I'm saying that because we have 2 types of people on the call. We have our Power Agents, and then we have those of you who we call our guests. We're really excited and happy the guests are here, and you're going to learn a tremendous amount. But the reason why I just like to say that always up front is because from time to time during this training, I will be having a sidebar conversation with the Power Agents about maybe where they can find something that I'm teaching on the portal of their membership. So I just want you to understand that. Now, by the way, if you are a guest and you want to check out being a Power Agent, I do want to point something out, and we'll do this at the end, but right out the gate, part of the incentive we're giving today for people who want to be a Power Agent is they get all of this stuff on the screen, and that virtual listing appointment and the 184 things that we do to earn our commission are going to be crucial in this new environment that we find ourselves in. And so anyway, the special pricing we're doing for you today is $10, and you get everything, and you get to keep it if you don't continue as a Power Agent. Okay. With that said, let's go over the agenda for today and what I'm going to cover with you. Oh, and by the way, one other thing. There's a good chance I may go over. So there's a good chance that I may go over the last 3 weeks where it's been talking some version of the lawsuit. That's been happening because my commitment has been on these trainings is to not worry about time, but to worry about content, to make sure that you're educated and taken care of. And So if you can stay, that would be great. If you can't, then and you want to become a power agent, then don't dilly dally, click on that thing because you don't want to miss out on that. And then we're going to send you a recording. If you're a power agent, get a copy of the recording so you can listen to whatever you miss. Okay. Here's what we're going to cover today, the agenda. First of all, I'm going to give you an update about the lawsuit. Some new stuff has come out. Number two is I'm going to share my thoughts with you about the judgment that happened, because I learned some new things that, is quite honestly a little upsetting. I'm going to give you some options as to how to present commission a new way on a listing appointment. And I do believe this new way could actually help you get more listings. And that's the part that I'm happy about this whole mess, is because to me, I see an opportunity for us to get more listings, have easier conversations with homeowners. I'm going to get into the listing appointment a little bit too at the beginning part about breaking through the ice and building rapport with the homeowner. And the last thing is we have bonuses at the end that's really for the power agents. So that'll be at the end. Now, I do want to get some feedback from you guys. So in the Q&A, I need you to write the answer to this. It's really important. This will help me help you today. Do you have this in your market where if you sell a house as a sub-agent of the listing agent, meaning you are not representing the buyer as a buyer's agent, where you have a fiduciary legal responsibility to the buyer, that you have a responsibility, it's not your listing, there's a listing agent, but so there's a listing agent, you have this buyer, they didn't hire you, they're not working exclusively with you, and you're a sub-agent of that listing agent. Do any of you have that in your market? Just yes or no, please. Like Greg said, yes, very good. Somebody else, because I need more people to get a sense of what I'm talking to today, because I'm going to give you, Pamela, no, it's 0. All right, so have those keep coming through. Here they come. There's always a delay on this. I'm just going to read these really quick. No, generally not. Cindy, yes. Leah, yes. No, yes, yes. Yes. You know what? The rest of you put the yes, yes, yes. Okay. Actually, put your city or your state where you're from, actually. Yes, North Carolina. Okay. Very good. Put your state, because that's going to help me as well. Let me just jump down this. Not in Massachusetts. Co-listing is what you call it, Jim. What state are you guys in? Okay. So keep those coming, and I'm going to continue to teach. There's a lot of no's, though. No to North Carolina. That's funny how you did that. Okay, Florida,
Don't you
no.
publish or no?
Yeah, you can publish them now. Yes, New York City. No, no, yes. You know, it's funny. I just saw North Carolina say no and yes, which is interesting. Okay. Must be a different MLS, I would think. Okay, this is good stuff. Thank you very much. So the majority is no, but some of you still have it. Let me do my disclaimer. Number one is I'm not giving you legal advice. I'm not an attorney. I'm giving you my opinion, but sometimes I'm going to talk passionately like I think I'm an attorney. I just forgive me on that. Your broker is driving the bus. Your manager is driving the bus. Whatever they tell you, that's what you got to do. So we really can't go out there dilly-dally making our own rules as agents. The third thing is NAR and the MLSs are going to start to look at how to reinvent themselves. You're going to see some changes, not yet, but we want to get ahead of the curve so that way we're not blindsided. Now, when it seems like I'm opinionating, I'm actually teaching. Now, this part's really important. I put this here because what I've been noticing myself is that the last few weeks, sometimes I get really passionate and I get angry, and I am Italian from New York, and it comes out. So, and it seems like maybe I'm commentating and I'm opinionating, but listen to me. This is really important. You get this. What I'm saying is ammunition also for you if something should come up. You're not going to deliver it the way I do. You're not going to get angry maybe like I do, but the content of what I'm saying will empower you that when a consumer asks you or they challenge you or they comment, you'll have the content of what I'm sharing with you. So I want you to listen for the content, not so much my emotion. Now, a lot of people do also comment that it's inspiring, and that's a good thing. But all right, here's the legal update. What I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly go through where we got to where we are. So this is going to be a summary of everything that's happened up until now. The first case, and I may be off a little bit in order of things, but the Moore case was filed in Illinois in 2019. The case revolves around the participation rule. And I want you to pay attention to that because you're going to see a thread here in just a minute. How do we address this? As well as the claim that NAR and the same group of franchises have conspired. So participation rule conspired. What is the participation rule? I know a lot of us know, but let's just go back to school here for just a second. The mandatory offer of compensation rule, which it's also referred to that, it's also referred to as the clear cooperation rule. There's a few different terms. And essentially it says that this, I'm not going to read the whole thing. I want to jump to that yellow line. This information must be shared. The brokers offer compensation. It must be shared to participants and subscribers. It should come with a disclaimer stating that the offer is made only to participants of MLS. Now, see, there's problem number one that's created the lawsuit, is that we are saying that the MLS saying we have to, or they have been saying that we have to offer a commission to the selling brokers, but they must be a member of MLS. That was problem number one, because it's part of that antitrust. Like, you can't do. What if you're licensed in the state and you're not a member of MLS? You can't offer that person a commission. So that was part of the argument, that we were hurting other agents who weren't members. Okay, here's the next thing. The clear cooperation rule said it requires sellers to include a fee offered to the buyer's agent when listing a home. The fee offers is visible to the buyer's agent, but not to the buyer. The fact that we were saying the seller, the MLSs were saying, required the sellers to offer a buyer's agent fee was the other faux pas. So this is the crux of all of these suits, that we were not giving the homeowner choice. Let me continue here with you. Nosalic, am I saying that right? Nosalic, the case in Boston in 2020. It was a defendant against a specific MLS that wasn't part of NAR. And the case centered around the requirement of sellers brokers offering compensation of buyers brokers in order to submit a listing to the service. Anywhere and Remax agreed to settle in late October. However, the parties asked for a stay or temporary pause. Okay, that's the next lawsuit. Here's the next one. This one is Baton One. The case began early 2021. It involved homeowners, not sellers. A judge dismissed the case, but the buyer's plaintiffs then filed an amendment and is bringing it back to life. The suit names these folks as the defendants. NAR, Anywhere, blah, 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 Remax, Keller Williams. Motions to dismiss this suit are currently pending, so we don't know. Here's the next one. This is the one we're all familiar with, probably. This is the one where there was a judgment. In October of this year, it was, again, the cooperation compensation rule, also called the participation rule. This was the one where we lost $1.78 billion. Okay, let's continue. Right after that, the Gibson file, lawsuit was filed. The Gibson file was filed by the same attorneys that won the Burnett lawsuit. So now it's the same thing, but it has more people in it. Douglas Elliman, Howard Hanna, Weichert, EXP. According to the complaint, the plaintiffs are bringing the suit against the defendants for agreeing, combining, and conspiring to impose and enforce anti-competitive restraints that require home sellers to pay the brokerage to represent the buyer of their homes and to pay an inflated amount because of that. So what we have to understand, what you're going to see, and this is why there's two reasons why I compiled this for you. Number one is for our power agents. I wanted them to have a history of all the lawsuits in a summary, because the power agents are getting this lot. So that way you understand the whole scope and the order of how we got to where we are. That's number one. Number two is I want you to see a common thread. And I don't know if you've seen the common thread yet on all of the cases, because this is where we need to fix it, you see. All right, let me show you. Let me go back here. So the Missouri suit promises to be much bigger than the Sitzer Burnett suit. Now, this is important, please. Don't get, I know some of you are bored to tears on the legal side, but this right here is very important. I'm reading to you. It seeks a class action status on behalf of the corporate defendants of all persons who listed properties in the MLS in the United States using a listing broker or affiliate since October of 2019 until the present. They're seeking $200 billion. So here's what you have to understand. the attorneys that just won the Burnett case, 1.78 billion, they filed within 2 days this one, but now they want this to be a United statewide lawsuit. So anybody that listed a house in an MLS with an agent in the United States will be in that lawsuit. And this is why they're seeking $200 billion. Now, keep in mind, the attorneys that filed this case just won $1.8 billion in Missouri. So here's the problem that I have when I hear people say, it's business as usual, don't pay attention, don't worry. You know who didn't pay attention when the writing was on the wall? Blockbuster. Blockbuster should have been the new Netflix. Let me say that again. Blockbuster should have been Netflix. But you know what Blockbuster did? They didn't pay attention. Let's just keep doing what we do. Oh, wait. BlackBerry. How did Apple iPhones knocked out BlackBerry? Because BlackBerry said, no, we're fine. We're the leader. We're number one. Who? That's crazy. Don't worry about it. And I can go on and on and on of companies that didn't pay attention when the writing was on the wall. So now here's the next thing. Baton 2, another one. Maya Baton, she filed in November in Illinois seeking a class action suit against these companies. See if your company's on there. The defendants unlawfully anti-competitive conducted causes American home buyers to pay inflated commissions for broker services they misrepresented as free, to pay inflated prices for the homes that they purchase, and to receive reduced quality broker service. So this is the one specifically for buyers now, saying that we told the buyers it was free, they didn't pay the fee, when in fact they were paying, it was part of the commission. Now, listen, think of the irony of this. You've got one that we lost because the homeowner was paying too much, because they were paying the broker's fee. Now you got a contradicting lawsuit saying that the buyers paid the fee, but we told them they weren't. So who the hell's paying the fee? That's contradictory. This is crazy, right? Okay, let's continue with the craziness. This one here, another one in South Carolina. Another lawsuit that just got filed November 6th. They said the effect of these rules is not simply that the seller must pay the buyer's brokerage compensation. The complaint states these rules effectively take the compensation structure out of the view of the buyers and sellers, masking who pays the buyer broker's commission. That's what they're saying. Here, there's another one. This is New York City, just November 7th got filed by Monty March. That's confusing that the last name is March. It wasn't filed in March. That's the name of the seller. That now this is just New York City. New York City, this is, by the way, this is not all the companies that are in the lawsuit. I ran out of room on the slide. I'm being honest with you. I'm being serious with you. I said, let me delete the other companies that people may not know. So I deleted those companies. I think this is interesting. Sirhan, a lot of us know Sirhan. This guy was an agent and a top agent in the city. He's been on the television show, Million, or whatever the name of the show is. Well, he's in trouble now. March alleges that the Real Estate Brokers of New York Council universally forced him to pay an inflated commission to the buyer's brokerage thing. So here's the concept here of, and I'm going to say this later, I'm going to say it now. The gist of all of this is that they're all saying we force the homeowner to pay the buyer's commission. Now, which, by the way, you can understand a little bit of concept that if a buyer is being represented by an agent and that agent is a buyer's agent, like they have a legal fiduciary responsibility to represent the buyer's best interest, to have the homeowner pay the fee doesn't kind of make sense, because that's like going to court and paying the other attorney's fees that's working against you. So I understand that concept. But the problem here is, and I don't understand, I wasn't in the courtroom, but what I don't understand is that's not how it works. How it works is the seller pays us one fee, and then we decide how we're going to divvy up that fee. And if we decide that I want to pay to the selling broker this amount, that's my decision. You see, so you're paying me. And so I don't understand what the hell happened in the courtroom. I don't understand how we lost. Now, here's the problem. The problem is when you have that $1.8 billion lawsuit happen, all of these ambulance chases are going to start coming after a whole. That's why you're seeing an explosion. I think Inman said an avalanche of lawsuits. 2024 is going to be a nightmare for the mid-sized to smaller brokers, because anybody that can make a dime on this is going to now start. It's going to be like this. Watch this. How many of you have seen these commercials? Mesothelioma. Every time I turn on my TV, I see one of these commercials, or the Camp Lejeune. So here's how, just to school everybody so you understand what's happening. When you have a $1.8 billion lawsuit like that, every attorney says, hey, wait a second. This is a model. This is a template to shake down other businesses, you see. So what they do is they put out ads saying, hey, have you ever been at Camp Lejeune? Hey, have you ever had this problem? Call us, go to a website, fill out a form. So then we go to a website. Yeah, I sold my house with a realtor. Bada bing, there's one. Give me somebody else. Bada bing, there's another one. And after you get a few homeowners saying, yeah, I listed my house with an agent. Now the attorney's got a list of defendants, and that's how you start a class action lawsuit. So any of the mid-sized brokers, it's going to be a rough year. It's already started. One of our power agents showed this on Facebook. Karen, thank you, Karen, for sending this. She said this is an ad she saw on Facebook. Did you work with a realtor to buy or sell a home recently? Well, if so, your realtor may have charged you excessive commissions. See if you may be entitled to compensation. Bada bing. There's the first sign, and it's going to get worse. And I'm going to share with some ideas I think will help all of us, help our industry on the listing appointment, how to present this. Here's some things I want you to consider. Katie Johnson is NAR's chief legal officer, and she was just on a webinar that I attended. And I learned some important things I want to add to this conversation. She said the damages were based on a list of homeowners that listed on MLS and what the percentage of the fee was listed for, not what was actually paid. Now, again, gang, I'm not opinionating. I'm informing and educating you and teaching you something here. So how they came to the $1.8 billion, I'm going to round it off, the $1.8 billion judgment is they looked at all these houses that were listed and what the commission was on the listing. Not if the house sold or not. Not if they were paid that percentage. How many times have we, oh, I'm sorry. Did I go off screen here? I'm sorry. Julie, did I have that on the screen or no? I'm sorry.
You did not. I'm sorry. I was so into what you were saying.
All right. Let me break it. I do that sometimes. Forgive me.
Your arms start waving. I don't know what to look at.
Right. Okay. The damages are based on a list of homes. So this is from Katie Johnson. Katie, our chief legal officer. She said that how they came up with $1.8 billion was they looked at all the listings, what the commission amount was, and they calculated that's how they came to $1.8 billion. Here's the problem. It wasn't what was actually, whether those listings closed, whether those commissions were paid that. How many times has that happened to us, gang, where we said that we were going to have, here's the commission amount, but in the final hour, we had to cut something or we had to pay for a refrigerator or whatever. So the damages were not based on what was paid. The damages were based on what the listing said. To me, that makes no sense. And you know what? When Katie was in her webinar, she said it didn't make sense to her either. When they selected the juries, now watch this. They started with, this is really good information for you when you're discussing this with civilians, if somebody asks you. The jury, see, in a class action lawsuit, in Missouri, 100% of the jury has to agree. 100%. So there was 8, not 7 out of 8. 8 out of 8 have to agree. So let me show you how those 8, who they were. It turns out that those 8, it started with 80. And then the 2 attorneys, the plaintiffs and the defendant attorneys, they say, I'll take this one, not this one. They start to eliminate people. You've seen it on television. Out of the 80, they chose 8. And those 8 jurors, 2 of them sold a house, 2 homeowners never used an agent, and 4, the other were renters, never listed or sold. So you have 6 out of 8 who never worked with an agent. Now, I've got to tell you something that kind of bothers me, is how the heck did our law firm that was in that court make that okay? How is it okay that the 6 out of the 8 never worked with an agent was making a decision about our industry? How screwed up is that? Now, to me, I start thinking like an analogy. Imagine chess. You've got chess, the game of chess, complicated. And you're a judge at a chess game, but you've never seen chess. You've never played chess. You don't understand the rules of the game. How the heck are you supposed to be a judge on that? And that who's decided $1.8 billion. But you know what really burns me? How did number one, you know what? I hope to gosh that NAR leadership is not using the same law firm who lost at 1.8. If I have attorneys in my business, and whenever my attorney doesn't produce, I don't use the same guy or the same gal. I fire them and find a new one. You already had a shot. You obviously don't know what you're doing. So now I don't care if it costs me more money and time. If I had somebody build a garage for me and one of my investment properties, they did it wrong. I paid somebody to come in and fix the work that they did. Am I going to bring them to the next house and do another garage, give them a second chance? This makes no sense. This is the law firm that won. This is 4 guys, not 40, not 400. I divided up the $1.8 billion. This is how much they made in contingent fees. $700 million is what they got paid, these guys. And that comes out to $170 million each. Homeowners only got $2 million if you divide it by the 500 homeowners. If you do the math, you think we charge too much? They got $700 million. The homeowners only got 2. I don't see how that makes sense. This is the lead attorney, Michael Kutchmark. Here's what he said. This is the one of the rare things in our country where, regardless of politics, people can come together. Everyone agrees we have to get the National Association of Realtors out of the pockets of homeowners. It's not the right. It's not right, and the jury exposed it for what it was. This guy's got it in for us, ladies and gents. There's 2 more quotes. I've been following this, Mama Maluk. Our goal is to take this message from the state of Missouri and take it nationwide so that homeowners in our country can finally reap the benefits of technology and get these corporate real estate giants out of the homeowners' equity. How about getting you out of our equity? Here's the last one that gave me a chill up my spine. He said, we are not going to stop until NAR is broken up. Now, listen. We've got to get passionate about this with our leadership and with our industry. This doesn't make any sense. Now, here's the next thing. I'm going to show you this to give you some information to talk about when people ask you. One of the things that they talked about the last day of testimony, Dr. Craig Shulman, he's an economist, he's an associate professor. He argued that there is a visible conspiracy in the real estate market pointing out clumping of commissions and the lack of non-NAR competitors. So here's what he said. Part of why this was a clear case of antitrust violations is the fact that our commissions are clumped together like they're the same. So I want to give you some language to deal with that. If people say, yeah, but you guys aren't negotiable. Yeah, we are negotiable, but let's look at what clumping is. The definition of clumping is a commission that Dr. Shulman refers to as the allegation that commission rates tend to cluster or concentrate around a certain percentage, like 5 or 6. So it's clumping. So we're clumping. The plaintiffs argue this shows anti-competitive behavior. Commissions are not varying freely, but they're being fixed or stabilized. They claim that the NAR rules contribute to the commission rate of clumping. So we're clumping. Now, this is Dr. Wu, our economist for NAR. He said something really profound. He said he disagreed with the interpretation, arguing that clumping can occur naturally in competitive markets as businesses copy successful practices. He said that clustering alone does not necessarily indicate illegal price fixing or conspiracy, which is absolutely right. Because if I started to think, you're right. That's a very important line. He said, clumping, I love that word, clumping can occur naturally in competitive markets as businesses copy successful practices. So then I started to think, what other businesses have clumping? In my town of Wading River, we've got 4 pizzerias, which is a lot of pizzerias for 10 square miles. And if you look at the prices, $22.20 for a pie, $22.80, $19.90, it looks like there's a range. There's a range, like realtors, a range. It's clumping. Are they breaking the law? Clumping? You go in your town and you go to any fast food, I'm sure that the prices at McDonald's for a number 9 with 2 cheeseburgers, fries, and I'm sure the price at the one McDonald's, you go down to another McDonald's, is going to be the same price. Are they breaking No, they're clumping. Clumping is okay. It happens naturally. So yes, of course, with us, we clump. Here's the words that you can say and the words you can't say and can say right now. The buyer doesn't pay the commission, it's free to them. We got to stop saying that right now today. Next thing, telling the homeowner they must pay the buyer's agent's fee. We've got to stop saying that. The third thing is, if we don't offer a high selling commission, agents may not be motivated to show it. We got to stop saying that. I used to say that as an agent. That's how I used to get higher commissions from my clients, and tell them, listen, the higher we go, more motivated that people are. You can't say that anymore. Words that we can say, your fee is not negotiable. Now, I want to be clear on this. I'm seeing a lot of misinformation saying that we can't say that our fees are not negotiable. As an industry, we can't be saying that. We can't say all companies of all different companies and places. We can't, like, see with McDonald's, right? McDonald's, they don't tell their franchisees what prices to charge. That would be against the antitrust. So each store decides what they're going to charge for their hamburgers. Legally, that's how it has to be. But when a McDonald's store says, this is what we charge, this is what we charge, that's the end of it. So as individual agents, you set a standard as to what you want to charge, and it's okay to say it. It's not negotiable. When people ask me to speak, I have a fee. I don't negotiate. It's an integrity issue. I'm not going to charge one person something different than another to do the same work. So I want that to be clear. We can't set a commission individually and say that to a homeowner. Now, let's continue on. Is this helping any of you? Can I see some comments here? Let me see what you guys think in the Q&A. If you can tell me, is this helping any of you? Now, here's the summary, and I've already said this. The homeowner was not given a choice. That is the main thing here. So let's talk about how we can give homeowners choice on a listing appointment. The commission agreement. So first of all, let's distinguish some terms. I see the hearts. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. First of all, the listing agent, they represent the seller. That's number one. Selling agent represents the seller but manages the buyer side. And then there's the buyer's agent. I think we have to, as an industry, get clearer on those distinct words, especially the last two. The listing agent is not a problem, but we always seem to refer to selling agent and buyer's agent as the same thing. And we have to distinguish that. Buyer's agent is somebody who's representing the buyer, not the seller. And in some of your states, you told me that in some cases you could be a sub-agent of the listing agent. If you are a sub-agent of the listing agent, that means you're representing the seller. That means you're a selling agent. You're selling the house with a buyer, but you're not representing the buyer. You're a selling agent representing the seller selling the house. When you're a buyer's agent, you're still selling the house, but you're representing the buyer's best interest. So let me share with you some ideas to help our offices on how we can give homeowners more choices so they can't sue us saying that we're forcing them, we're locking them in because we're clumping. Number one choice, offer the homeowner 3 tiers of pricing. Now, by the way, I didn't do a disclaimer that anything that has a percentage on here, I'm not saying that we're price fixing or whatever. I'm just using it as an example because when I put letters in, people get confused. So we're doing percentages. Here's an example. You go on a listing appointment and you show a homeowner that you have 3 plans. The 3% plan, the 4% plan, the 5% plan. Now I love this. Whatever number you want to put in there, but I love this. See, now we're giving a homeowner choice. We're gonna do our best. Like some of the higher end houses, we got to do more work. We want to do full. You want to do full, not even a high end house, any house. You want to do a full color brochure. I don't normally do. You want to do all right. That's in the 5% plan. You want that aerial photo thing that zooms in and goes through the house and goes above and does an area. I got to hire somebody that. It's more money. That's the 5% plan. So that's one option. Option 2, we could say first the homeowner agrees to a marketing fee, then agrees or disagrees with an optional selling fee. Now, one of the power agents just said on the call, I talked about this earlier, and they said they did this technique and it worked beautifully. So let me explain it to everybody what option number 2 is. You first present your fee to the homeowner as a marketing fee, period. It's not a selling fee. It's for you to put it out there into the world to promote it. So now I'm going to just use an example. Like in the old model before the lawsuits, we might say, the commission is whatever number, 5. And I'm going to pay 2.5 out to the selling side, and I'm going to keep 2.5 on the, okay. Now this option, you don't do that. You say, Mr. and Mrs. Hana, now watch, this is the good thing. How many times has a homeowner said to you, bring me a buyer and I'll pay you a fee? And usually what do they say? They'll say, what I hear a lot is, 3%. Now, the reason why this is really important and powerful is because a lot of FSBOs or homeowners, they're okay with paying the 3 or the 2, whatever. That's in their brain that makes sense, is worth it. Okay. So if you go on a listing appointment now, instead of trying to get both sides of the commission, you have a conversation saying, listen, Mr. and Mrs. Hana, if you'd like to hire me to market your property, here's what I do. I do this, I do this, I do this. Because you talk about all your marketing before you have the commission conversation at the end. And you say, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Hana, for me to be your marketing agent and to give it exposure and promotion, everything I just said for the last hour and a half, my fee is 3%. Just that's all it is. Flat number, bada bing, 3%, and you get everything. That sounds so digestible. I can do that. Okay, now let's go back to the thing here. Now you explain the buyers, so all the agents that come through, they're going to deal with their side of the fee. Their fee is going to be paid by the buyer, or they're going to trade, I don't know, favors, cattle, I don't know. It's not for us to decide. The buyer's agent will deal with their side on their side. We're just doing the marketing 3% or 2%, whatever the number is. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Hana, if you like, as an added incentive, what we could do is we could offer that selling agent a little something. Give them an incentive fee, whatever you want. Pay them something that you don't pay me, you pay them. You don't have to do it. You could do a half, you could do 1, you could do 2, you could do 3, you could do equal. It's up to you. So now, which, gang, is essentially what we do now, but we're presenting it differently. We're saying, all right, here's my marketing fee. Choose that. And then we can add on a little incentive. Now, I'll tell you, that's an incentive fee. And as an incentive fee, the more incentive you give any salesperson, the more motivated they are. Now they're probably going to show the house anyway, but we're going to, give it a little bit more extra spotlight. It's up to you. So a lot of this is, yes, somebody said, all right, good. I see questions coming in. Thank you, Crystal. We're going to get to that question. All right, now, number 3, only share your listing commission with sub-agents, not buyer's agents. Now, this is going to get this is another option. I do want to say something that I think our MLSs and our associations are going to start to have to redo the way they've been forcing us to not have choices. So this is why I'm sharing what I'm sharing with you. Another option is that when you get the listing, you only share your commission with sub-agents, agents who are still representing the homeowner, because the crux of the lawsuit was that the homeowner was being forced to pay buyer's agents who were working against us. So what you could say is, all right, we're only going to pay sub-agents of the homeowner, people that are not representing the buyer. This is going to be an industry change for this to happen. So here's the option. How does the buyer get paid? How does the buyer's agent get paid if we are not going to pay the buyer's agent? And you see, some of you remember when it first came out where we started pushing, or not we, but the industry started pushing buyer agency agreements. We would tell, if we were a listing agent, we'd say, well, I'm only paying sub-agents. I'm not paying buyer's agents. So if you're a buyer's agent, I'm paying 0. And you get paid however you want to go. That's how it originally was. And then all of a sudden, our MLSs started getting too legal and started doing things. And this is why we have what we have, by saying, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. You, as an agent, you must offer. See, the associations shouldn't have done that. This is why I already said it, why we are where we are. I think we're going to find our associations are going to do less of the legal stuff, which they've gotten too legal into the business. And now they're left holding the bag. And now this is why they have these lawsuits. So anyway, so how it would work is how the buyer's agent could get paid. It's up to them. Is that the buyer will pay them directly. If you're a VA buyer, you can't do that. So it's a problem for VAs. Buyer's commission is part of the offer. Here's what we could do. We could say we're going to just pay the sub-agent and not buyer's agent. The buyer's agent, well, how are they going to get paid? When they make the offer to the homeowner, in that offer, they will include the buyer's agent's fee and explain that this is for the buyer and this is part of the negotiation. There's nothing legally wrong with doing that. Now, here's the third option that we can do. Watch this. We're not paying the buyer's agent. We're paying sub-agents. But if, let's say, we got an offer and we've got this buyer agent that's trying to put this deal together. It's a good deal for the seller. You're the listing agent. You're representing your seller. And this looks like a really good deal that maybe you're going to take some of your fee and give it to the buyer's agent. And now you look like a hero. But keep in mind, you're not taking a small commission just because you are still paying sub-agents. If your normal fee is, let's say, 5%, you're going to pay the sub-agent, as an example, 2.5. You keep 2.5 on the listing side. You get a buyer's agent who comes in. They say, well, how do I get paid? I'm not paying you. Well, I got this great offer. What's the offer? You look at the offer, ooh, that's a good offer. You sit down with your seller and you go, you know what? I know I'm not supposed to pay the buyer's agent, but he's got this great offer. I don't want to stand in the way. So I'm going to give him my 2.5, the half of that 5, and I'm going to pay them so they're taken care of. Now, I look like a hero. But it's what we do now anyway, you see. All right, here's the other option is one fee that covers your listing and selling. It's not out, but there's no outside brokers. This is, in the old days, somebody just said it, this is called an exclusive right to sell listing, which means that you take it as an exclusive and you don't put it on MLS. Darryl, how does that help the homeowner? And our MLS won't allow that. Yeah, I think that's going to go away. I think it'll be an option to do that. And in my days, that was an option. And let me tell you why that was an option and why it was good for homeowners. Some homeowners prefer to not have a tremendous amount of traffic. Some homeowners prefer to keep it in just with that broker. Because it's the same as having 2 cooks in the kitchen versus 1 cook in the kitchen. And some homeowners would prefer, I just want the 1 cook. I want Darryl. I want his office. I don't want to deal with anybody else. Let them control both sides of the conversation so it's a smoother transaction. And some homeowners chose that because it was better for them. And we took that choice away from them. And that's another reason for why we are where we are. Now, I do understand that some people would take advantage of that and it hurts the homeowner. That's another, there's always going to be a yin to yang to every situation. But that is another option. I will tell you this, whatever happens, I hope you guys are learning something. Whatever happens is going to be the one that's going to be left standing in all of this is who? But the listing agent. The listing agent is going to be the one that's going to really succeed with this. So let me share with you how to get better on the listing appointment. This is a case study from one of our power agents. Susie said, I felt a little insecure with listings, but Darryl's program has taught me how to be a great lister. I've gotten more listings in the past 3 months than I did last year. This truly is a great program. So let me share with you what I know Susie loves about what we teach power agents. The listing appointment we teach is 4 sections, broken up into 4 parts. The reason why I use the acronym REAL is because current power agents will tell you this. That it's not about a scripted hard sell approach, but it's about coaching and serving and helping people get to the next level. There's an authenticity that we want you to be on a listing appointment. The problem when you just focus on trying to close people or memorize scripts is there's an inauthenticity that comes out as well. So the first thing you do is you build rapport with that homeowner. You go through the house, you tour the house, you break through that ice with them. Then when you sit down at the kitchen table, you engage them by asking questions. Where are you moving to? Why there? When do you need to get there? By there's 13 questions. After you ask those questions, then you go, if I can help you get to Florida, the monies you need to make the move a success, is that something you'd be interested in? I said Florida because I'm a New Yorker. Everybody moves from New York to Florida. If it wasn't for New Yorkers, Florida would still be nothing there still. So that's when you start to give advice. This is when let me share with you how I can get you to Florida with the time and the money you need. And you talk about MLS, yard sign, lockbox, all the things that you do. And then you list and leave and get out of there. Now, how do you, let's go, I'm going to go through some of the beginning. I'm not going through the whole appointment, just some of it. When you build, well, no, actually, let's do this. When that first part about building rapport, the bottom line is you want to go through the house with them and do all the oohs and ahs, because when you go through the house and you're touring it, that's how you build rapport with the homeowner. You see things, you go, ooh, ah, this is exciting. I love this. So that's huge, right? Then you go back to the kitchen table, and what you want to do is break that ice a little bit. You want to give some a gift. For example, you might say, if it's a FSBO, for example, here, listen, I know you're trying to do this on your own. I have this security checklist that I give to my clients to make sure you be safe when you're doing this. In this day and age, you got to pay attention. Here's another thing. Sometimes the best appointments are last minute appointments, because I've seen more houses sell on the last minute situation than when it was planned a week in advance. So I got this little 10 quick ways to get ready in 10 minutes or less. Now, by the way, if they have children, give something for the kids. Now, we created for the power agents this good move. We have I don't know how many e-guides. We have 20 e-guides for power agents. This is one of my favorites. It's to help a child in making a move, because what a lot of people don't realize is children, it's actually very traumatic, even if they can't articulate it. But something's going on for them. So we created this guide on how to make moving actually fun. Like when you're the realtor, the listing agent, you ask the child, if the age is appropriate, to be your little helper, you label them an assistant realtor. And so whenever there's an appointment, you turn the lights on, you make sure it's clean, and it makes it a game for the children, but it's more for a psychological thing. We're very passionate about children in my company, and that's just why we do that. All right. Here's another thing. Power agents. Yes, let me talk to power agents for a second. Power agents, we have for you a whole branding kit that distinguishes a power agent. You get a certificate, you get the logo, you get all this stuff. We created this. Why should you hire a power agent? Why versus any agent? If you have 2 different types of agents, why a power agent is the better choice? And it talks about it's a member of an exclusive group of educated folks. Less than 1% of all agents in North America are power agents. It's a designation. It's a trademark we own. So power agents, make sure you use that. It distinguishes you. So there's all those guides. Okay. Now, how to segue, this is a question I always get. If you're touring the house and you're just looking, how do you turn the tour into an actual listing conversation? So here's the step-by-step. You sit down at the kitchen table after the previewing. You give them one or two ice-breaking gifts like I just showed. Power agents, we have hundreds that you can use. So pick whatever ones you like. I just showed you a couple. Use the 13 magic questions to find out what the next level is. Now, let me just focus on this for a second, gang. This is really important you get this. Is homeowners, when they're selling their house, they're selling for a reason. They're committed to a next level. What we do is more than just list and sell the house. What we do is help them get to their next level. But you can't do that if you're not clear what it is. So you've got to get really good, ask the right questions that get to the heart of what their commitment is. Then you say, if I can help you get to blank, like I joked earlier about Florida, with the monies you need to make the move a success, is that something you'd be interested in? When they say yes, you now open up your book and say, let me share something with you that I think is important. And gang, that's the segue from the first part of building rapport to engaging them, asking them what they're committed to, why they're, to the actual listing conversation. That's your formula right there. Now, by the way, I'm going to talk to the guests for a second. If you decide you want to do this power agent thing for the $10, we're going to email you immediately how to do the entire listing appointments and what the questions are and the slide deck, the whole 9 yards for you as a little incentive, okay? Let me ask you guys a question. Let me check in. I know we've got 9 minutes left, at least for the 1 hour mark, but tell me, what's your biggest takeaway so far? So write in the Q&A, what's your biggest takeaway? And I want to see what that is. Now, while you're doing that, and while there's a delay, I want to see what your takeaway is. I'm going to continue teaching because here's the next thing we've got to talk about. And that is validating realtor. We've got to get really good at validating our industry more than ever because of what's happened, right? So let's talk about how to validate realtors. Tina Rossetti, one of our power agents, she said she makes over 200 grand a year, gets 20 listings at any time because of what I'm about to share with you guys. Let me see what the comments are coming in now. Hang on a second. So Meredith said, the tier commission structure, you love that. Jim said the same thing, the menu plan. Marcy said the top 3 choices. So everybody loves that. Paula, love the options and dialogue. Abby says all of it. Thank you very much. I should be publishing these here. I'll publish them now. Options for listing to add to the buyer agency. Pamela, very good. Susie, the 3-tier. So everybody loves the 3-tier. That's really another. Sharon loves the options. Okay, Julie, can you just share those? Yep. And let me continue on teaching here. So listen, gang, for a seller to agree to price and commission, they must understand that they can't sell as a FSBO at the real estate price. So here's what I'm saying here. When you are going on a listing appointment, now more than ever, we have to validate realtor because this lawsuit and the other lawsuits are giving us a black eye. Let me give you an example. You might say to a homeowner on a listing appointment, Mr. and Mrs. Hunter, one of the biggest mistakes that homeowners make in pricing their property is they think they can sell the house at the same price that a realtor does, and the realtor doesn't have the value in the commission that's been in the news. And let me share with you how that's not true. One of the biggest mistakes is homeowners will look online and they'll go to Zillow to get a price and say, this is what my house is worth. Let me show you something. The creator, the guy that started Zillow, Spencer Raskoff, at the time he was the CEO, started it. Here's what he said about Zestimates. He said, Zestimates is merely a successful marketing tool to catch people's attention, but you should not rely on it to determine the value of your home. It says above that, the first paragraph, we call it a Zestimate, not a Z appraisal, not a Z price. It's meant to be a starting point to determine a more accurate opinion of a home's value. You should hire a real estate agent. So you've got the CEO, the creator of Zillow saying, don't pay attention to Zestimates. It's a marketing tool. We only use that as a starting point, but you got to talk to a professional. And watch it, it gets even better. Watch this. It says Zillow CEO Spencer Raskoff sold his home for much less than his own Zestimate. When he sold his house, he sold it for $1.05 million, which was less than the $1.75 his own Zestimate said. So even his own software didn't work for him. So, gang, we have to communicate to a homeowner that this is not this estimate here. Let me show you something else. He said in GigWire, he said, we are not a brokerage. We're not an MLS. When they don't compete with brokerages, we're not compete. We sell ads. We don't sell houses. So the whole Zillow's estimate thing is just a marketing tool. One of our power agents, Regina, she did a whole thing and searched in this 1 month of all these houses that sold, what the actual selling price was and what the Zillow's estimate price was, and it was off the charts wrong, either too much or too little. So one of the things that we need to do in validating on a listing appointment is that we are value, that we know what we're doing. Don't go by Zestimates. And here's the second reason the homeowner makes, how they make a mistake, is they invite agents to their house to give them a price. Oh, by the way, I've got an extra one. It's not on the slides. Here's another one. When a homeowner says, well, I looked at what this house sold for in this house, so I did my own Zestimate. I did my own prices. You should ask a homeowner when you're doing the prices, say, Mr. and Mrs. Hunter, what's the addresses of the houses that you looked at the price? And they'll tell you, go, oh, okay, I got it right here because I have a printout of all the homes that have sold in the last 6 months. Yeah, I got that. Okay, what's the other one you got? Okay, that one. Okay, so you looked at that price. What's the other one you looked at? 1010 Hunter. Okay, good. All right. So those are the three that you looked at. You looked at those prices and you said that's how you came up with yours. Let me show you something interesting. That first one you said, that was sold by a realtor. Okay. This one you used as a CMA, that was sold by a realtor. And the third one, that was sold by a realtor. You know what they all have in common? Those sales prices were realtor prices, not FSBO prices. Every homeowner paid a commission in that, and they netted a different number than what the actual selling price is. You can't use realtor prices to come up with the FSBO price. You see how that works? That would be like this. Watch this. Watch this. Going to, if you wanted to price your car, if you went online and looked at similar prices of what dealers are asking or selling, you're not going to say, okay, because the dealers are asking this price and this price and this price, my car must be worth that. No, it doesn't work that way. You can't sell your car as a seller, a FSBO, if you will, at a dealership price because it doesn't happen like that. So FSBOs lose two things when they try to be a FSBO. They lose time and money. They lose time and money. So part of what we need to do, gang, is validate to a homeowner why we are so valuable to the whole process. Is this making sense here? I have another example of this, right? So when you go to buying a boat, same concept. In every business, there's two prices. There's the business price and then there's the consumer price. When somebody sells their own item, like a boat, it's going to sell for less than if it was sold through a dealership. This going back to the car thing. I looked at Kelley Blue Book. I looked at a Mercedes, 2020 Mercedes, used Mercedes. The private price was $23,000 to $26,000, but the dealership price for the exact same car was $26,000 to $30,000. That's almost 14% difference. You see that? You can't sell as a consumer what a business sells for. Here's why. Because when you buy directly from the consumer, there's higher risk for the buyer. Because with a business, you can hold the business accountable. But when you're buying it directly from the owner of the item, that's higher risk. So how do I get why would I do that? What's the balance? Well, if I'm going to buy it directly from the seller, I got to get it at a good price. You see, that'll offset the risk. I want a deal. People who buy privately are looking for that deal. And that's the difference that we have to explain to a homeowner. Is this making sense, gang? I hope this is helping you. Let me show you something else. I've done this a million times about the pricing. NAR did a study that showed that homeowners that sold for less, sold with as a FSBO versus selling with a realtor, the difference in price was 18%. Now, granted, that was NAR's, but that study was 2021, just when the pandemic, when prices were going through the roof. This is when homeowners say, I don't need an agent. Why should I go with an agent? Because I could save them money. No. Agents sell houses for more money. Here's another one. This is after our commission. This over here, I love doing this one. The guy who wrote the book on how to be a FSBO, for salebyowner.com. On his website, why would you pay a FSBO? If you're selling your house for $2 million, you pay $100,000. Why would you do that? You should go here for salebyowner.com and we'll sell it for you and you'll save $100,000 if you're selling $2 million. Now, here's the funny thing. The guy that created that website, Kobe Sambrato, in the Wall Street Journal, he tried selling his 2,000 square foot condominium on his own to classify as FSBO. But after 6 months, he hired a real estate broker. So now watch this. The guy that wrote the book on how to be a FSBO has a business called for salebyowner.com. He couldn't even sell his own property. He listed with an agent, but wait, there's more. He listed with the agent. He got multiple offers, and he sold it for $150,000 over his FSBO price, and he paid $130,000 commission. Let me show you another one. This guy is byowner.com. Byowner.com. Now, what's funny about this guy? He actually has realtor.com on his website. He says, don't work with a realtor, but yet he's using realtor.com. Don't you see there's the irony there? This guy, same thing. He hires a realtor in St. Petersburg Beach, a Coldwell Banker agent, and he listed it for $3.78 million. Now, here's my point, gang, that we have to communicate more now than ever. We've been around for over 200 years. There's value to what we do. If they didn't, then more than 90% of the homeowners would not be listing with agents. What we have found is when homeowners list with agents, they net more money. This is why we are essential. Is this communicated? Is this making sense here? All right. Now, listen, I want to jump to something here. Julie, how are we doing over here?
You're on fire, man.
Okay. All right. Let me just jump to this one thing. I'm going to show you guys something. Here's the bottom line. The bottom line is, I'm just going to summarize what I just said. The byowner.com CEO, he would not have listed with an agent if there wasn't value in what we do. For salebyowner.com CEO would not have listed if we didn't do a better job than he did as a FSBO. More than 85% of homeowners, they don't do FSBO, they wind up listing with an agent. And we've been around for over 200 years. Now, I'm going to share something with you. This is Darlene, one of our power agents. She said, I love the 184 things real estate agents do e-guide on the listing presentation. It really helps. We created this document years ago. I've seen something circulating also on Facebook, a post. But we got this e-guide that actually validates all that we do for homeowners in selling their house, which, by the way, guess we're going to email that to you today if you decide to sign up as a power agent. Now, let me show you something else here. This is extra. I told you about bonus information. We're not going to do this now. I'm going to show where power agents, there's a whole set of slides that we put in here for you today on how the market is changing, and you use that on a listing appointment and make sure homeowners price the property aggressively. We're not going to go over this today because I want to jump to one last thing, and then we're going to jump to the questions. Here's the thing I want to just say to the power agents. The announcement that I have for you guys is what's new that we just added for you is real crucial. First of all, if you go to the tab that's what's new in the power program, you're going to find these things. You're going to find your calendar for the week. You're going to find your monthly calendar of tasks and ideas. But there's also the lawsuit hub that has a plethora of information for you. There is, of course, the brainstorming session. But here's the two things that I want to point out to you right now. And that is, number one is the monthly magazine. And number two is we created the 10 lawsuit dialogues to help you when you're talking to consumers about the lawsuit when they ask you about it. So make sure you look at that guide. And another thing we just launched today is the consumer guide of protection. This is something to help break the ice to show the homeowner, listen, if you ever have concerns about working with our industry, we put this guide together for you of your rights and resources. And that's another icebreaker to use. Here's the last thing, and then we'll open up to questions. What should you be doing right now? What you need to be doing, I saw John, our manager, say this, training. You've got to learn now more than ever that listings may be the only thing left standing. There's concern and questions about the buyer agency side. So you've got to get stronger at listings. get stronger on that listing appointment. Offer choices to the seller, get strong at validating your value and what you are worth, what you charge. Do not work with buyers unless you are clear. Whether you're representing the seller or representing the buyer, you've got to be clear in your communication. And do not work with buyers without a buyer agency agreement. If you're going to work with the buyers, which is great, you've got to work with that, make sure that you get that buyer agency agreement. Now, here's what we're going to do is we're going to just take a minute to talk about the Power Agent program for the guests, because I want them to know what they can get if you decide you want to sign up and become part of this family for that $10. And then we're going to open up to questions, Julie, so just get ready. First of all, every Monday, we're doing coaching calls with our Power Agents, especially to navigate what's going on with this lawsuit. Power Agents that are on the call, I love it when you guys pay it forward. If you wouldn't mind, in the Q&A, if you would write what you think about the coaching calls every Monday, it's live. You can ask me questions, and we're helping the Power Agents really get through this time that we're dealing with. What we do is we record the calls, we transcribe it, and we post it on the site for the Power Agents to listen to later. One of our Power Agents, Erica, said the Monday coaching calls are priceless. We do brainstorming every 60 days with Power Agents. It's like a show and tell. They bring their ideas to the classroom. We put it into an e-guide for them, which has a plethora of ideas, and it hyperlinks to locations and websites, etc. Every one of our training sessions are recorded. So like today's session, last week's session, it gets recorded, and then the Power Agents get a copy of the slides so they have access to this. Like today's slides, there's so many charts about how the market is changing, how to use that on a listing appointment that the Power Agents get. There's also this, I'll share this with you. When you go to the classroom of our website, when you click on it, you'll see everything's alphabetized, right? So we have buyers working with prospecting, farming, self-promotion, the listing appointment. So let's say, for example, you need help with farming and self-promotion. You'll have hundreds of flyers, checklists, mailing pieces that you can customize any of them, and you don't have to learn a new software because we use your current software that's on your computer. We have this ability to search the website for Power Agents. Let's say they type in FSBO, everything FSBO related will show up for them. Now, if you're a guest, I'm going to ask you a question, and that is, if you generated an extra sale a month because you're a Power Agent, because of what you're learning, what would that be worth? Well, it's not 500 or 1,000, or it's not a ridiculous amount. It's only $67 a month. You can cancel anytime, complete access to the entire program, copy of the recordings, the slides, plus you're going to get bonuses today. First of all, if you are a Power Agent, if you go to the classroom, you're going to see, you're going to go to Webinars on Demand. And when you go to Webinars on Demand, you're going to see this little red thing that says click on the replay for the slides. And that's going to get you the slides for today. Now, the webinar itself is still being recorded, obviously, so it's going to get up on the site later. But if you are a guest signing up today, what's going to happen is we're going to email you the slides, and the recording later on is a separate thing and make it easier for you.
Excellent.
By the way, I'm going to just say this. I see Dinkish said, is this $10 offer for the first month or just for today? Oh, Dinka, great question. No, the $10 is for the entire first month.
Okay, we have a lot of questions about specific things that you showed, like where can I find the dialogues and where can I find the e-guides? Can you show them the search function for me real quick?
Yep. So let's do this, gang.
While you're doing that, Susan just signed up. She's looking forward to an amazing 2024 now.
Awesome. Here's when you're in the classroom, gang, if you search e-guide, what you'll see as an example, there's the 7 risks homeowners take when they choose to sell on their own. Darryl's top 12 most requested dialogues, how to set up an Instagram account, how to handle the buyer phone inquiry, the 12 best ideas to generate listing leads, setting up LinkedIn, how to use box. So there's 6 pages of guides. Now, some of these guides are guides to help you. So for example, this is the farming field guide. If you want to start farming, here's a guide for you on that. And then the other set of guides are ones that you use with civilians. That's what I affectionately call buyers and sellers. Here's the easy move guide for them. Here is the I'm trying to find another one. Homeowners, the 184 things that we do. Here's the buyer's guide. I will tell you, power agents, especially the new power agents, that buyer guide is one of the best guides that power agents love. And I'm going to show you why really quick, and then we'll go to the next question, is because we've always had power agents ask us for some kind of book to give to buyers. And this is it. I'm going to just go to the table of contents. If you look at the table of contents, you will see that this looks like a book and a process from start to finish in buying a house, understanding the housing market, pre-purchase preparation, let the house hunting begin, purchasing and closing the deal. This guide is over 37 pages. And I will tell you, our guides are really beautiful. And the graphics, and this is just the one guide. I'm going to tell you one other thing, especially for the power agents. These guides, you can copy and paste and use them as a social media post. You can use that as a video script by just covering 1 or 2 pages in the guide. So social media posts, blogging, there is so many from this one guide, you could create multiple marketing pieces. So I want to just say one other thing and then to the next question. The power program is 2 major things. One is it's a training platform where I'm training you on how to list and sell real estate, how to prospect, call for sale by owners, get listing appointments, belly to belly, face to face with things. But the other thing is a resource of hundreds, literally 700 marketing pieces and checklists that you have access to that you can customize it. So those are the 2 major things. Next question, Julie.
That's the question Kim is asking. She just signed up. She's so excited. Can I customize all of that? Yeah, everything is customizable, Kim.
Absolutely. Yep.
I love it. And they are in Spanish. So I don't know if you want to show that, but back to the dialogue guide. Yes, the same process he just did to find the e-guide. That's how you would find those dialogues. You would just put in dialogue would find that for you. Oh, but better yet than that would be the what's new tab, because that's going to show all the things that we just popped up.
Yeah, a lot of the gang, I showed that earlier. If you go to, first of all, there's the script. So if you type in the word script, you're going to see a lot of dialogues for prospecting the telephone. There's training for it. So make sure you do that. We have 40 dialogues for the telephone.
There, yes.
Yeah. So over 40 dialogues. One of the things that we're big on is using voicemail and how to use that in prospecting using this software that we have where it calls out to, if you uploaded a list of, let's say 500 people, it doesn't ring their telephone. It goes directly to their voicemail and leaves a message, and then they call you back. That is a huge strategy that power agents are using. And so we have that for them. But let me go to what Julie just said, the what's new tab, because anytime we create a new something, it stays in this tab for 45 days because we're always pumping material in there and it could be really overwhelming for the power agents. So we created this what's new. There's the consumer guide that you can use on a listing appointment because of homeowners concerned about realtors given these lawsuits. There's your calendar. There's the dialogue when people ask you about, well, obviously one of the dialogues for somebody says, well, obviously the fact that you guys lost $1.8 billion, there must have been some truth to the lawsuit. Now, we have the dialogue for you, which I went into a little bit with you, saying, when you think about the absurdity, the millions of people did not say that we overcharged them. You had 8 people, 6 out of 8 never worked with a realtor. And those 8 people said, in their opinion, they thought that they proved the case. That was so a misjustice, and that's why it's being appealed. Anyway, so if you look at the what's new, you'll see a lot of these red things. It's the lawsuit stuff. So we've been pumping a lot of lawsuit dialogue and techniques because the power agents are saying, I need to understand it. Oh, here's another thing. You see this? Is the commission agreements. I've got to be honest with you, gang. I'm going to show you something because I did too much material here today. And I want to just show you something. There's a lot of slides here you may not recognize because I had way more material than time. For example, here's the commission agreements that we have for you. So the point is that today's slides, those of you that sign up, you're getting a lot more content than I've actually recorded with you today. So there's a lot of bonus material. I'm going to show you one other thing. Listen, I'm going to tell you something. We've had people say this. You know what? For what Darryl just did, it was worth. It's like tipping a waiter. You know, I learned. Did you learn $10 worth of content today? And the slides is worth $10. Tip your waiter. So you can look at it that way. We're going to email you all of this content, okay? And so you're going to get these commission agreements. What's that?
When you join.
When you join. Julie always has to make sure I don't screw up. So, yeah, when you become a power agent, you do the $10, you get all this stuff. And if you decide to cancel, then you cancel, you get to keep all of it. Now, hopefully you don't do that. Hopefully you you might as well get every dollar out of us, be on the coaching calls, be on the webinars, and get your money's worth. But I'm going to show you something else over here. See, I did all these other slides for you, gang. Oh, you can't see. Hang on. I did these other slides for you on what's happening with pricing in real estate, because we got to start telling our homeowners in some of our market that there's a correction coming. Like, here's just an example. This over here shows the interest rates and the prices of homes. So what you'll see, what happened is in the 70s, the interest, or what's happened now with how much the prices have gone up and how the interest rates are starting to creep up. This is hurting people. There's a big gap. There's also sales are way down, and that's why homeowners need to price aggressively, because buyers can't afford it. So you kind of do the negative conversation to throw some water on a homeowner, say, listen, don't be greedy now. Now's not the time to be greedy. We got to price this to move it. And here's why. And it goes through all of those examples. Okay. Here's another one. I'll just show you this. Look at the mortgage applications to buy a house. This is the mortgage application since 1990. And you'll notice that last corner there, that's how low it is.
Wow.
That shows you that buyers are not buying, or at least they're not getting mortgages, which kind of coincides with it. So listen, I don't like to scare homeowners. That's not the point. The point is, if you're in a market where you want the homeowner to get a little aggressive on the pricing, they're getting too greedy, you use these slides to show them, no. The market has changed. The cheese has moved. We've got to think differently here. Okay, let's go to the next question, Julie.
I love it. Wayne said, I just signed up a couple weeks ago. I haven't even paid my first $67 yet, and I already feel like I'm stealing from you. The scope and quality of info provided by Darryl and his team is the best I've ever seen. Awesome,
Wow.
Wayne. That was very kind.
Wayne, that was very kind of you to say that. And so there you go, gang. Listen, you know what? I know sometimes we've gotten, perhaps we've made choices with coaches or education or something, and we had a bad experience. This is why we're doing this $10 thing, because we want to help people that maybe have gotten burned in the past. You can't get burned with $10, and especially with what we're giving you. And our conversion rate from people who go the $10, just like this gentleman said, to actually becoming staying with us is the highest in the business. And the reason why is because once you get in and you see what we're doing, you're like, this is like, I should pay more. So, because it really is valuable stuff. All right, Julie, it's valuable to help you, and you're going to need this going into 2023, 24. The agent that is trained is the one that's going to work through this, and they're going to have their best year 2024. Training is the answer to what's happening in real estate right now. Absolutely, by far. Next question, Julie.
Yep, you can't call it in right now. You've got to be in touch and tapped in right now. Jean says,
absolutely.
I feel so much more secure about my conversations now. Thank you, Jean.
I just published that. Sorry, Julie.
That's okay. Thomas, or let's do Pamela. Pamela, didn't all of this start with buyer agency instead of just sub-agency? We are trying to represent buyers' fiduciary interest by adding it to the MLS forms to offer representation to the buyer. Can we simply disclose both buyer and seller fees come out of the closing statement as part of the proceeds?
You're absolutely right. I think one of the worst things that can happen in our industry is that we do away with buyer agency. But we have to be honest right now. It's the attorneys who are attacking and hurting buyers and forcing us to possibly go back to an older way of doing real estate, where the client is the seller and the buyer is a customer and they're not a client. And that's what's being forced upon us here, that there's a conflict of interest trying to represent both the buyer side and the seller side. The commission. So I totally agree with what you're saying. And that's why part of what I have for you is this commission agreement. Where the hell is it? Give me a second. Here it is. Where real estate here it is. The real estate commission agreement disclosure. This form that we created, it's 2 pages, and it basically says, here's what the listing broker is getting, and here's what the selling broker is getting, or if you change that to buyer's agent is getting. So that is an option where you have more clarity, your own agreement, and you have both the buyers and the sellers sign it before you finalize your contract. So everybody is signing off saying, we understand, we go into this with our eyes wide open and we're moving forward. So I agree with that as an option, but it's not full, who knows, but yeah, that's what we created for you. Okay. Next question.
We have those agreements, those sample agreements in the classroom as Word docs. So you don't have to try and pull them out of the slides. They're already in Word docs in the classroom if you go to that What's New tab.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Julie.
Marcia says, what if we are in the middle of representing a buyer client prior to the judgment, and we said that the buyer agency fee was paid by the seller? How do we talk to those buyer clients now?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Oh, that's a super question. Here's what I think every one of us should be doing right now with our buyers agents, with our buyers, is we need to have them sign some other disclosure and documents of clarity. And I think we should go back to the relationships and the drawing board with our buyers and use some of our agreements to have clarity that they understand that this is what the deal is, who you represent, how much you're getting paid, and who's paying it. Now, you should not say as a buyer's agent that the seller is paying it because we don't know if it's going to stay that way. We don't know what the listing agent's going to do. And it's because the seller was paying the buyer's agent's fee is what this whole lawsuit was. So you've got to have, like in our agreements, that says that the seller may pay it, but there's no guarantee. And if they don't, you as the buyer are going to make sure that I get paid. So we're going to have to go back and we're going to do a training for power agents on the buyer conversation. Today was mostly giving you an overview, giving the update, and it was about the listing appointment and some of the options. But we're going to have a dedicated buyer face-to-face appointment. Here's how you present all of this mess to buyers. Next question, Julie.
Okay, I'm going to clump these together. You see what I did there?
You're clumping. Well, gosh, we're clumping. I hope I don't get sued for the clumping.
I'm going to clump all the coaching call questions together. First, what time is it? Second, can I actually talk to you? 3, do you record them?
Okay. Yes, we record. Yes, we record them. Yes, they're at 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock. They're 2 hour long.
Ethan.
And yes, you actually talk to me. And hang on. That's I don't know if you heard that alarm. That was my alarm to tell me to thank God every 1:30 every day. All right, now, so give me a second. Let me just think this through here. Classroom. Okay. So coaching calls. So here we record the calls. They go here, and this was the last coaching call. So if I click on there, it's going to bring me to the recording. And hey, Sarah, when are we launching the new platform for the calls? Do you know that yet?
Yeah, we're in the process. So I'm hoping by December 1st.
Okay. So what she's planning on doing is we're moving our calls to a different platform where you can actually jump to it based on certain searches. But here's an example of the call. Here's what was covered. And you can actually click here to see the schedule of the upcoming calls, which brings you to the calendar. Sarah, I really love this. This is pretty cool. And then if you hover, so this is today. And so there's Monday's coaching call. And if you click on it, it tells you how to log into it. If you actually subscribe to this calendar, it'll go into your own schedule. So that way you'll never miss a call, whatever calendar system you use, whether it's a Google Calendar or whatever. So there's the answer to that. Okay, next question, Julie.
I love it. Wow. Sharon said this was in response to you talking about realtor price versus FSBO price. My neighbor sold her home to a buyer for 150,000 less than it would have sold with multiple offers in the MLS. She hurt all the neighbors' home values when an appraiser used her home for a comparable. The house next to hers sold for 805,000. She only asked and got 630,000.
Wow.
That's
See,
Sharon. That's a case study right there.
That's a great case study. Gang, let me tell you something. Anytime a for sale by owner, listen to me. Please listen to this. I've covered a lot today. And one thing I hope you walk away with, real important, is that the majority of sales, over 85%, are done through a realtor. If the lawsuit was true that we overcharge, if the lawsuit was true that we hurt consumers with our big 5%, 6% clumping commission amount, then that would not be the number. 85% of sales would be FSBOs, not the other way. Please remember, those two FSBO guys, they couldn't even sell their properties. They had to reach out to us. So that's a tell. That says something, that you make a difference, you help people. So listen, don't let any of this shake you in your conviction that you make a difference. You are essential. I'm going to say that again about the essential thing. When we had the pandemic, the CDC, after it figured, oh my gosh, what are we doing over here? People are locked in. All right, there's some people that have to be accepted. There's an exemption to them that they can go out because they're essential. Doctors, they're essential. They can go out. Nurses, they're essential. And these essential people got vaccinated first. They got certain privileges that everybody else couldn't, because why? They were essential. And if you go to the CD list, you know who's essential? Realtors, real estate agents, essential to people's well-being, to their life. That's who you are, okay? So you know what this lawsuit should do for all of us is get us more conviction about what we do. And I know for me it has. This lawsuit and tearing this apart, the lawsuit and all the stuff that's being said, I've fallen in love more with you and what we do for people. And this is what we've got to bring to our conversations. Okay. All right. Julie, I'm sorry. What's the next question?
I think everybody needs to hear that right now. They're hearing the other part, the beating up on them part. So that was important.
Okay.
Jen said, thank you. I'm signed up. I'm now a proud power agent. Great stuff. Thank you, Jen. Philip just signed up as well. Very valuable. I love it. What I don't understand is no one forced any of these people to use a realtor. They did it all of their own accord. Why was that not brought up?
Well, you know what? Again, I was not in the courtroom, but that's a good question. See, we're reaching out to some people. We're going to see about doing an interview with some of the key players in that were involved in this for us. You know, people who are supposed to represent us. And I agree. I don't understand how the hell we lost this suit. Now I get it. We're going to appeal it, but I'm going to tell you something. Now, see, now we're in the after hours time. In the after hours segment of the weekly webinar, you get Darryl Unleashed. You get behind the scenes stuff that I wouldn't say in the first part. And here's one thing I'll tell you right now. My company, I have to be careful what I say. My company spent over in the six figures to defend our trademark Power Agent in Europe, because we own Power Agent in the real estate space worldwide. And there was somebody out there teaching or using Power Agent. So we went after them and we said, no. Now, six figures. Here's what happened. I had a law firm in the other country because, and I have my company here, and we lost the first round. And so you know what I said to my attorney here in New York City? I said, fire them. Get rid of them. If they can't do the job, because to me it's clear. To me it's clear they can't be using it, but I don't care. Fix it. And fortunately, they got the stuff together, and I didn't have to fire them, and we won. But it costs a few dollars more for me to undo their mistake. So here's my point. My point is, I don't understand how the hell we lost this, and I would like somebody to explain it to me. I like somebody who was in the courtroom tell me how the hell did we lose this? Because yeah, this is obvious. This should not have happened. But until then, you and I, we have to do what we have to do to bob and weave. Okay, and so we're going to bob and weave, and we're going to become stronger because of it. I'll tell you that. Next question, Julie.
Absolutely, we will. Darryl, isn't the agent agreeing to 0% before showing the property per the listing?
Yeah. So what happens if the selling commission says 0%, the selling agent or buyer's agent, remember what I said, we need to distinguish the terms. First of all, we should not pay 0% to a selling agent. The selling is a sub-agent of the listing agent. Both agents represent the seller. That should not change. The problem, ladies and gentlemen, was the commission from the seller. The seller was paying a commission to the buyer's agent, who legally was supposed to be representing the buyer's best interest. So that was their argument. But if you have another agent who's working with the buyer, but they don't have a buyer agency agreement, they therefore should be representing the seller. So the buyer is merely a customer. Like when you go buy a car at a car dealership, that salesperson, they're not representing you. They're representing themselves, the dealership, the car. You're a customer, you see. That's how the buyer would be with a selling agent if the buyer didn't hire the selling agent. In that scenario, it should be okay to pay that agent because it's part of the seller's deal. But if the buyer's agent represents the buyer, why should the seller pay the buyer who's competing against the seller? That was part of the argument. So in that scenario, we should be putting out there 0%. And it's up to the buyer's agent to figure out how they're going to get paid. They're going to get it from the buyer. They can make it as part of the offer, saying, all right, here's the price. It's $500,000, but I'd like to have the contract reach $515,000. And I get that $15,000 paid to me at closing. So you can do that. Sometimes people say, Darryl, may not appraise. That's not a problem nowadays, so don't worry about that concern. All right, next question, Julie.
Natalia says, can you define the subagent? But I think you did that earlier, yes?
I've done, yeah, a couple of times. I just did it now.
Perfect.
Yeah.
How will this affect our MLS input?
It's going to change. The MLS, I think the MLS, I know the MLSs are going to change their rules and how they do it. We already see MLS. Here's something else I've talked about in other training here. Part of Remax and Anywhere settlement with this Burnett case was that they're telling all of their franchisees they do not have to be members of NAR. Now, just an FYI, Remax and Anywhere, if you take all of those agents and put them together, that represents over 21% of the NAR membership. So they're telling their people not to pull out. They're just saying, we're not going to make it mandatory. You want to be a NAR member? Fine. You don't want to? That's fine too. And here's something else too that they said in part of the settlement. They are telling all of their brokers, do not count on the MLS forms. Do not count on NAR or the association's forms. So any forms like agreements and contracts and whatever your MLS is putting out there, they're telling their members, do your own and make sure it's tight. And this is why we created what we created. You know what? I don't know if you have it in your MLS or in your market, but when I managed my office, we had a commission agreement that the buyers and sellers signed at closing. So that way everybody knew what the broker was getting paid. Full transparency. No question. Everybody signed it. Everybody knew. Now what we need to do is have that agreement signed with the contract. So even though you have a listing agreement with the homeowner, you have a buyer comes in, they make an offer, you're putting the deal together, and everybody signs that contract, You got to have a separate buy. You should have a separate commission we create for you guys. Say, just this, Mrs. Hana, myself, I'm just confirming this is the commission that we're getting. This is what the buyer's agent is getting or the selling agent is getting. And then you have the selling agent's buyer, same thing. You sign it. So everybody, now we're in contract. Everybody entered with eyes wide open. Next question, Julie.
I love it. How can I invite my team members to take part in this?
If you are, depends on your team. So we have what's called broker blocks where a team or broker can get a package at a reduced price of, I think it starts at 5. Is that right, Julie?
I thought it was 10, but potentially.
No. I could be wrong. Okay. Don't say 5 now. If it's not 5, maybe it's 10. So 10, whatever it is. Gail, if you go, let me show you something, everybody. Now listen, if you are a guest or a power agent or a new power agent, I want to show you something that is cool. Okay. So this is good for everybody. We have, when you go to our website, we got this little bubble over here. And let me tell you about that bubble. That's our chat. Now, let me tell you what I hate. So that way, that's not us. What I hate is I call my mortgage company to ask a question, and I was 45 minutes. Julie, I'm not kidding you. 45 minutes I was pressing buttons. If you're here for your insurance, press 1. If you're here for your tax assess, press 2. So I pressed, and if now 45 minutes, it drove me crazy. And I didn't talk to a human being. I gave the phone to my wife. I said, honey, I can't. I'm going to hurt somebody. So you have no problem getting a hold of us in our company. If you click on that little bubble and you say, okay, I want to ask a question, you're going to send us a message. And let's say your question is, I want to come, I'm a broker and I want to get my agents involved. How do I do that? You type that in, you hit enter. Here's what happens. Everybody's computer in my company goes ding dong like a doorbell, and somebody answers the door. We don't wait. And we read your question, say, oh, this is a broker question. That goes to Gail. Gail would jump and answer that, say, all right, hi, let me talk to you, and give them your phone number, and Gail call your cell like this, all right? We respond in under a minute. I don't know if you can read that there. It says we typically reply under a minute. That's not us. That's not advertisement. That is the company called Intercom who is judging us on how good we are using their software. Our response rate is better than theirs. Theirs is 15 minutes. So there you go. Next question, Julie.
I love it. Hi, Darryl. In New York State, an agency can also be created by the words or actions. This is an implied agency. Do you think most buyers agents operate like this?
Absolutely, especially in New York. And this is part of the problem. There's definitely, see, here's what happened. Why buyer agency? Listen, for those you don't know, I've been around this business for over 35 years. And when I was an agent, we didn't have buyer agency. We had listing agents and sub agents, and buyers were customers. The problem was in that model was that buyers thought we were representing them. And a lot of agents treated buyers like that. Like the buyer would say, listen, I'm going to offer, $200,000, but I'll go up to 225. Now, legally, that agent should tell the client, the seller. But a lot of times they didn't. They would keep it out to themselves and they try to put the deal together. And so buyer agency came into play and got really pushed from NAR for good reasons, but it's created new problems now. So what the hell was my point? Yes, the fact that we didn't have, what we should have done back in my day is we should have disclosed, I don't work for you, I work for the seller, and here's what that means. Now we have that, so whatever you're doing, you have to disclose it in writing is the bottom line. If you're representing the buyer, then express that in writing. If you're representing the seller, express that to the buyer in writing. We've got to get more particular with our communication. Next question.
Transparent as well.
Yes,
transparent. The magic word right now, right, is transparency. Thomas says, what do you say to the seller when they say, well, this area is strictly 3% commission?
When the seller says what?
This area is a 3% commission.
Well,
yes.
Yeah,
I don't
I don't know of a seller that would actually say that. So I don't think you have to really worry about that. Yeah, but if somebody said that to me, if a seller said this area is 3%, I'd be like, well, I don't know how you came to that conclusion because I don't even know what the percentage is. Like I'd have to go into MLS and search every transaction over a certain period of time and look at actually the amount of commission they got paid. And I'd have to have brokers disclose that because usually they don't publish their pay salary. But here's what I can tell you. I don't care what other people charge. This is what I charge. And, my fee is my fee for what I do and for who I am. If you want to try and find something that does something for more or less, I'm sure you'll find somebody. You always find somebody to do something for less.
And by the way, we have objection handlers for that in the classroom.
Yeah, we do. We have a whole set of, all right, let me, I guess, show that, Julie. If I go to classroom, let me get rid of the team here. And so listen, gang, the classroom, there's so much magic in the classroom. So if I go to the objection handling here, this is how, listen, let me show you all real quick. How do you just this page, right? Give me a minute for this. If buyers, if you need help with buyers, you click on the buyer tab. The coaching calls is Monday. The CRM, we have a CRM for power agents. Everybody needs a CRM. If you don't have one, you need this one. I think is the best. This is Darryl's top picks, which is what it says. The directory is what's launching to the general public right now. It's internal for power agents to refer business, and about 5 to 6 deals a month are getting referred. This brings you to the Facebook page that's exclusive to the power agents, and that's loading. Then there's the farming. There's favorites. Oh, the favorites. When you favorite something, so let me go to the listing appointment. And let's say I love this article about the buy owner CEO. This is a PDF version of that. Oh, look at this. Buyowner.com CEO hires a realtor. And let's say you like that, right? So that's not the one I showed you guys earlier. That's another version. You see when I click on that thing, it says favorited. Now, if I go back to that tab that says favorites, that's tied to your account. So anytime you mark something as a favorite, it goes into there and you'll see there is the article I just tagged as my favorite. Okay, let me finish up on this and we'll go to the next question, Julie. NAR Lawsuit Hub, negotiating offers, objection handling. So we put this classroom together based on categories of real estate. And so like a chef, right? Or if you own a restaurant, what are the categories of owning a restaurant? Well, there's the cooking, there's the chef, there's the bar, there's the hostess, there is the waiters, there's the bus staff. Then you have accounting, you have marketing and advertising. So you can take a restaurant and break it up into categories where you've got to staff people and get good at those categories. Real estate is the same way. You got to know how to prospect, have a listing appointment, how to negotiate offers, how to farm and self-promote yourself, how to manage your time, technology. So all of those necessary skill categories is how the classroom is set up for you. All right, Julie, next question. Julie, you're still there? You're muted.
Bill said, I just signed up. Let's go.
All right, let's go, Bill.
Let's go. I love it. Our local association is very set on listing agents paying the buyer's agent commission. What can we do about that? That's probably going to change, right?
Yeah. So here's what I can tell you. Listen, I don't want to. I'm going to tell you I am so not politically correct. So I usually say things that upset somebody at some level, and then they never want to hire me because of that. So that's why we focus on power agents and big companies and working with them. So that's just the nature of who I am. Anyway, here's what I think. I think the MLS and the boards are going to change what they have been strong about, because it's those things that they've been strong about is what put them into the legal peril. And I think they're going to change. So that's number one. Number two is, I think if you think something is being against antitrust, where people are telling you, you have to run your business this way, like you have to pay a fee out, that in of itself is breaking a law. And I don't think any association or MLS is going to want to go to war or to legal situation with their members. So if you feel strong about a model that you want to do and run your business that way, I think if there was any time that the associations would listen, now is that time. Next question.
I love it. Susie says, during this lawsuit difficult time, Darryl has been the best support system imaginable. Don't quit. Listen to Darryl and use these tips to feel confident. Thank you, Susie. That's so important. I think it has broken a lot of confidence for agents, and that's why we're here. It's so important to have a community and a coach that can help you with that.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Debbie says, when do you bring up things that need to be cleaned, repaired, painted, furniture, that type of thing?
Things that need to be repaired and cleaned and stuff like that. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
here's how okay. So I'm going to tell you, if you're a new to us, one of the things that you will learn is we don't teach memorized scripts except for the telephone or door knocking. Listing appointments, negotiating buyers, it's all using metaphors and analogies. And there's a whole reason why that works so much better for you. You don't have to memorize a script. You're using your own words. It's easy to remember. You don't have to try and remember a script. And I'm going to give you an example of one. So if I had a homeowner that needed some elbow grease on a property, I would say, Mr. and Ms. Sana, we're coming into the holiday time of year. And, what I realize is that we all kind of live in two houses. We live in the house that company comes over, and then there's the house we live in that's day in and day out, right? So for example, when you're having company over, you probably do a little extra cleaning, you probably put out the fine china, you change the bedspreads, all that stuff. And so that's the same when it comes to selling a house. There is the house that you live in and day out. Maybe you don't make the beds, you leave things out, But when it comes to selling your house, we want to put the house together like when company's coming over. We always want to have it look pristine. We always want to brush up on certain things. So I can give you some suggestions where if you spent like maybe $100 here, it'll get you back $500. Would you like that? And so that's how I would present it. Next question.
I love it. Kathleen says, the information you're giving us on the webinars and coaching sessions are addicting. I just can't get enough. I've learned so much from you and your team already. You make it interesting as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Make it fun. Never a dull moment with you, Darryl.
That's right.
Is there any role playing involved?
Oh, you know what? That's a great question. So we're not like, think about this. How do we keep this program at $67 a month? One of the ways is that we don't overload with accountability and staff and like there's coaches in our business that make that available, right? So, and you're going to pay like $300, $400, $500, $1,000 a month for those. So we don't do that kind of training, where we're going to do role play and stuff. There's an exception to what I'm saying in just a minute. So the power program and being a power agent is more like Netflix, right? So you have this resource that is incredible. And just like Netflix has, by the way, you'll notice I'm using an analogy right now. Netflix probably has, I don't know, hundreds or thousands of movies, and you're not going to watch all of those movies. And you're not going to watch it every night. So when you need a little dose of entertainment, and if it's a science fiction or a comedy, you sit down, you go to the comedy section, and you find the bada bing, and you watch that one out of the hundreds of thousands that they have. The power program is like that. If you need help on prospecting and calling for sale by owners, we got that. You need help with farming and pieces, newsletters, we got that. You need a mental enema, you want to talk to me, we got that on Monday. So you're never at a loss here. One of the things power agents say, they feel like they're not alone anymore. Which is the biggest compliment we get, that they know that we care, that we wake up every morning committed to the question, how can we help our power agents today? That's who we are. That's the commitment that we are every single day. So, and I appreciate it so much when they see that and they recognize it. Now, role play. If let's say you do want to role play, I'm going to tell you how to do it Monday. If you call in on the coaching call every Monday, I'm same place, same back channel, and you say, Darryl, I called some FSBOs. I couldn't get the appointment. I tried using your dialogue. It's not working. I say, all right, let me hear what you're doing. You call me and let's role play. Now, you try not to pay attention to the fact that there's hundreds of other power agents listening into us, but you'll be fine. And we role play, and then I'll switch. I'll say, all right, let me show you how I would do it. You be that FSBO, and we record it. So yes, we do role play. It's on Monday, and it's recorded, and it's just for you. Next question.
It is magic when that happens, though, because you can hear the light bulb go off for an agent when they go, that's what I did wrong. So it is magic, and it's learning for everybody.
The power program that is like cooking popcorn in a microwave oven, where when you first put it in, the first minute or two, nothing happens. And then after a second minute, they pop. And then going into the third minute, pop. And the program is like that. When you first start with us, you're just getting the lay of the land, and you're getting to see who we are and what the philosophy is and what we have. And then all of a sudden you're on a coaching call and I role play with you as pop. And then you come to one of these trainings and pop. And then before you know it, you're exploding, pop, and you're having breakthroughs left and right. So, all right, great stuff. Next question.
Popcorn analogy. I love it. I meant to say this when you were handling the objection earlier. We did put up the objection handling arsenal. That's new in the What's New tab and in the object, and it's very powerful. It's an older program. You go up, because it's an audio program. And we just had on our coaching call on Monday, like agents are listening to that in the background, and they're like, "Holy smokes, this is making a difference." So that's all.
Now let me just tell you what Julie wanted me to point out here. This objection here. It's not very pretty, but what that is an audio program that we used to sell when from the stage when I did my live events. Well, I still do live events, but when I used to sell CDs from the stage, that one sold for $197. Just that, and what it is, well, I'll show you. It comes with audio and a book, and the book is. Let me show you this. This is powerful because what you're going to learn about metaphors and analogies is going to totally transform everything you've ever been taught about how to listen and sell real estate. You're not going to be doing memorized scripts anymore. Some people have called me the father of metaphors and analogies in our business. I'll be honest with you, I didn't create this. I learned this when I read this book on how to be a therapist. It's a thing that they teach therapists to use as a strategy. That's why I first learned it. And then it dawned on me it's the same technique motivational speakers use. All right, let me show you this. So this workbook, it goes through the whole thing here. All right, so this is page 9. I want to sell it on our own to save the commission. There is tug of war, hire pro, bargain. There's 5 metaphors to handle save the commission. We're going to sell it on because we could do a better job. Well, then there's 10 metaphors, analogies to do that. Anyway, it goes over the 14 most common listing objections and several ways to handle. There's over 50 metaphors. Now, here's the beautiful thing. When you hear the metaphor, you'll never forget it because, I'm sorry, I should do this so you can see the rest of the book. Because let me show you these visuals, like you hire a professional. Let me see if I can demonstrate. Should I demonstrate one now, or Julie, or no? Just go on with the.
I ride with it.
All right, really quick. Mr. and Mrs. Hannah, let's say you were sick. Who would you call? A doctor. If you were going to get sued, who would you call? A lawyer. And when it comes time to do your taxes, you call an accountant. Why would you do anything different with your most important asset? See, watch this. There's something that these people all have in common. Number one is you could do it yourself. You can medicate yourself. You can go to court yourself. You can do your own taxes. And you can sell your own house. But they also have in common, any one of those, you probably don't save money. You actually lose in the long run. And here's the other thing that's really important. All 4 of these people have the same thing in common. It's a federal crime to practice that profession without a license. See, being a real estate professional is not like hairdressing or selling cars. If somebody pretends to be an agent, it's a federal crime. because it's so complicated. There's so much to this business is why you must be licensed to serve others. Anyway, so there you go. I just used doctor. It's called a professional metaphor. And there's an example. All right, next question, Julie.
Is that extra?
No, it's part of the program.
What
It's
else is
for
extra?
it's there ain't nothing extra in this program. The only thing that is an add-on, if you want, if you need a CRM, that's not our. We had a CRM customized for power agents, but it's another company, and so that's how that works. It's exact contact, but our price for our power agents is actually less than if you went to their site. Go figure. We're really good at negotiating. The second is Redex. Redex is a company that gives you FSBOs, leads, and phone numbers, and do not call. It's incredible, and that's a separate company. Those are the only two other add-ons if you're going to do something. Okay.
Excellent.
Next question.
If you are a past power agent and you want to come back, what is the best way to do that?
There's no website for past power agents because you should have never left in the first place. But if you're going to come back because you recognize the wrong of your ways, or however that's
your ways.
What is it?
The error of your ways.
The error of your ways. You click on this little bubble thing over there, and you say, "I'm ashamed to say I left." You should lie to us. Say, "I left the country and I came back. I want to rejoin," and then we will take care of you and tell you how to do that. Next question.
Excellent. FSBO offers a commission, does not want you to represent them. What strategies would you use to get them to list with you? Well, you should show them the past trainings, because that way you could show that we do deep dives on these different topics, right? So objection handling, FSBOs, expireds.
Okay.
We got you, Neil.
So Neil, let me show you. When you go to webinars on demand, you're going to see all of the these are all the trainings, and there's one of the best objection handling techniques. 6 ways to get listings when inventory is low. How to present price and commission, part 2, because I had so much content that I ran out of time. There's part 1. Can we change this logo to part 1, Sarah? This image, and so that way it matches. How to get a surgeon listing for one open house, which this is awesome. So anyway, here's all this stuff. When it comes to FSBOs, the secret to getting more listings from FSBOs and expireds, that's the one that I would recommend. That what happens is you want to go into an appointment with a homeowner, and you know, they say, "Bring my buyer, I'll pay you." How do you get them to list with you? I'll show you. Here's an example. This is one of the metaphors that's in that objection handling package that I just mentioned. It's called the 6 bakers. Mr. and Mrs. Hana, let's pretend that you have a daughter and your daughter's getting married, and you want to have, you're going to pay for the wedding cake along with all the other bills, right? But you want your daughter, it's your only daughter, it's her first wedding. You want the best wedding cake possible for your girl. So you go to 6 different bakers. And you say to each one of these bakers, "Listen, I want you to bake me the best possible cake for my daughter. Now, I'm going to come the wedding morning. Whichever one does the best job, that's the cake I'm going to pay for." My question is this: how many of these 6 bakers are going to roll up their sleeves, spend their money, their time, and their resources to produce a result for you? Probably none. Why? Because you didn't commit to any one of them. When you say to realtors, "Hey, bring me a buyer and I'll pay you a commission," you don't have any one broke agent rolling up their sleeves, spending their money, their time to get you the best results. Listen, if you're willing to spend that portion of the commission, and if this is what I charge, we're not that far apart. Why don't you pay the difference and let me get to work for you to get your house sold in today's market? Now, there's an example of a metaphor. And then that's an analogy. And you all probably get off this call and you can go do that one. You see, you didn't have to memorize script. That's what I love about using analogies. It's so easy for you to remember. The first time you do it, you may be a little clumsy. The second time, third time, you get better at it. Okay, next question.
Get the concept, you can deliver the content.
Very good, Julie. You get the concept, you can deliver the metaphor, analogy.
Natalia says, what is the difference between a listing agent market and a flat fee listing service?
Great question. And just the way you said it is even better, because a flat fee listing service is not a listing marketing agent. Those flat fees, all you're paying for. Watch this. Here's another a metaphor. Let me go back to the other slide here. Hang on a second. I'm going to teach everybody another metaphor.
That's what happens when you stay late.
when they pay a flat fee broker, all they're paying for is to get access to MLS or whatever other promises, like, here's a for sale sign, or a seller's kit, how to do an open, whatever the hell. But it's basically you're purchasing and that's it. It's not the same when you're working with a listing marketing agent, because they're doing so much more. All right. So the example would be like this. Let's pretend, Mr. or Mrs. Hana, you're not selling your house, and you're going to put an extension on instead. So you go to Home Depot and you're going to do it yourself, and you buy some tools. And let's say one of the tools you have to have is a hammer. So you go to Home Depot and you buy this hammer. Now let's pretend the hammer is like $500, which is the same fee the flat fee broker said they're going to charge you. All right. So it's a $500 hammer, very special hammer. You come home and you take this $500 hammer and you put it on your kitchen table. Here's my question. Is that hammer going to jump off the table and build you an extension? Of course not. Of course not, because the hammer is a tool. And the tool in of itself does not produce the result. You have to use the tool a particular way to produce the result you want. MLS is merely a tool. So all you do with a flat fee is you're basically buying the tool called MLS, but it has to be used a particular way. Now, watch this. You can take that hammer and give it to two different contractors. This one over here just got out of contracting school. He's not licensed and bonded. He doesn't have a crew. He's never built an extension. He's going to produce a result with that hammer. Now, you can take the same hammer and give it to another contractor. This gentleman has a team. He's been doing it for years. He's licensed. He's bonded. As a matter of fact, he's written the book on how to produce do extensions. That same hammer is going to get you two different results because of how the tool is being used. Mr. and Mrs. Hana, my company and myself, we know how to use the tool called MLS to get your house sold in today's market. And this is why you need to hire me. Does that make sense?
I love me a hammer analogy.
So now, but watch this, gang. Those of you that are still here learning, you are smart. Do you like that analogy? Do you put it in the comments? Was that a good analogy? Do you think you could go use that analogy now the first time you hearing it? That's the power. You didn't have to memorize a script. It's a hammer. Now, you may deliver it a little differently than me, but you got the concept. And that's the secret sauce. When you get the concept, you can create your own words using that concept. Okay. Next question, Julie.
I love it. Lori said, would it be safe to ask buyers closing costs to free up buyer cash to pay their buyer's agent?
Yes. Great. That's all I got for that is a yes. That's a great idea.
Excellent. Susan says, if the industry makes changes quickly, is that an admission to what the attorneys have claimed was done wrong in the lawsuits? In other words, could future lawsuits use the changes that the industry is suggesting as, see, the real estate industry knew they were taking advantage of sellers and buyers, and they are making these swift changes because we caught them? Wouldn't that indicate a slam dunk for future lawsuits?
It's such a great question. And you would think in the normalcy of perceptions and that's one of those distinctions of in the court of law and the court of public opinion and how they're different. So no, what a court would say is that it's not admitting guilt. It's not admitting that lawsuit was correct. It just means that we're trying to be proactive and accommodate to the best of our ability to still serve our customers and our clients. So no, making changes will only help us stay out of court based on those potential things, but it doesn't hurt us a slam dunk on winning. No, the opposite is true. Okay.
Excellent. Sadie says, so we have listing agreements. It clearly states what our commission is and what we give to the buyers and sellers. The seller signs this. If they agree to sign this, why are there lawsuits? Aren't our forms done by attorneys?
Yeah. So, wow, there's a couple of things that I can say in there. I totally agree with you. And this is why I believe we shouldn't have lost. And, the unfortunate thing that I'm hearing, I want to be politically correct by not mentioning names, but some key players at the table that have law degrees are actually just as shocked. And they're like, I don't know how we lost this. Well, you were in charge. You should not be shocked. You should actually be telling us where you screwed up because you lost. And I want to know why. So those questions have not been asked yet or answered. But I agree with you. It's been spelled out. Why are we losing this? But it doesn't matter. We've got to have some separate agreements from the MLS and be more clear with homeowners, giving different choices. Everything that I just covered today, I agree with you. So now we've got to not overcorrect, but be more obvious in the choices and the communication with our clients.
On that note, Terry asked, what are the name of the compensation forms that buyers and sellers can sign? I think she's referring to the agreements that we have in the classroom that we've developed.
Yeah. Here's what I would suggest that you do is if you go to the law, here's where I would go: classroom and what's new, and that's where you'll find the commission agreements. What's new, it's going to be there. You can also just type in the word commission, but the agreements are going to be here. Yeah, but you can also type in this. If you type in the word commission, let me see if we can. You're going to get other stuff that has the word commission, and I'm going to just type commission agreement, new commission agreements, and there's 2 pages. That's the other way, right? So commission agreements. Yep. So there's one document that has, I guess, all of them in there. Julie, is this one document here?
Okay. I believe so.
You better double check that, Jules.
Yep. Sarah, I think, has that. Do they need to run those past their broker? Sarah?
Absolutely. What we wrote was not written. Every state has different laws. And by the way, I want to also highlight that for y'all is that one of the things that we've gotten muddy or confused about in our industry is that sometimes we think the MLS rule or the association's rule is the law, and it's not. There's license law, and then there's MLS rules, and sometimes they are drastically different, and in some cases even oppose one another. Hence, again, why we're in these lawsuits have lost. So my point here is you should take what we did for you and run it by an attorney, have your broker look at it. These are Word documents, so you can totally switch it up, add to it, improve on it. So, okay.
You can make it your own. Like I said, everything in here is customizable, so you can move that around as you need to. Judy says, I'm in my trial with the Power Agent. I've found so much value and will be renewing my membership. I learned so much from Darryl's webinars and trainings, and all that is offered in the Power Agent program is absolutely a valuable resource and priced so reasonably. Thank you, Judy.
Thank you, Judy. Now, there's an example. I'm pretty sure Judy, what she's saying, I'm not going to look up her account, but I'm assuming Judy is just joined in the past week or two. Like she's still in that 30 days. She paid the $10, so she's already saying she's going to let it go to the 67. So there's a good testimony for anybody on the fence. Like, is this valuable or not? You should decide for yourself anyway, though. I mean, for $10, listen, not for nothing. Let me email you all this stuff for the $10. That alone is worth it. Next question.
Absolutely. Is there training available? Can you just show the calendar again? Every Thursday we have training available where you can learn how to get the most out of the classroom. Either Gail or Shelly will walk you through. It's a live Q&A.
Exactly.
Every Thursday.
So if you go to calendar, here is where all the training is, and that's the best way to find it. Yep. Okay.
Thank you so much. What did we say? Oh, I think we already. What if we are ready to close with a buyer who's already bought from a builder and the builder is offering the buyer's commission? Is it okay to say that the builder is paying?
Yes, Laurie. That's exactly the model that the New York City brokers did. And they said from now on, the seller, if they want to pay the selling agent, they can do it directly. So no more will the listing agent pay the selling broker. It's going to be just how you said. So yeah, that's fine. That's one step removed, and that is makes it safer in the industry to do it that way.
Stephen is not clear on the broker package. Is not sure how if he should sign up on the trial pop up. Stephen, if you use that chat button there, the blue button, when you go to the pop up, use that chat, and Gail will help you with that answer.
Yeah, if you're a broker and you want to pay for some of your agents, don't sign up now. Just use that chat and tell Gail that you want to sign up a bunch of agents and how that works, and she'll call you.
Perfect.
Okay.
T. Marcus says, I think NAR will win the appeal. What do you think?
T. Marcus, I'm shocked that we even lost. I'm shocked, not that we lost. I'm shocked that we lost to the tune of $1.8 billion with 6 out of 8 people who never worked with an agent before. So quite frankly, T. Marcus, if we could lose so badly, keep in mind, T, that they would debated, the jury was talked for 2 hours, not 2 days, 2 hours. They went in already decided that we were wrong, and they just came out so quick. So, T, if we have the same law firm representing the appeals, I don't feel confident that we're going to win the appeals. So, NAR better change their that's what I would say. I say NAR should change the law firm. Is it going to cost more money to find another law firm and start over? Yes. But you try and save a nickel, you lose a dime. I would not bet on this law firm. Sorry.
We should start a petition.
Yeah, we should.
We should. Sharon says, will we be able to put our listings in the MLS if we do not pay annual NAR dues?
Well, Sharon, that's a good question. For years, there was always that problem that some brokers were fighting that in the court system, that NAR had a monopoly because they were forcing people to join the association in order to get access to MLS. And I think that's the next thing on the chopping block, to be honest with you. There's already some of the, so again, here's another recording. You can write this down. Here's my prediction. My prediction, the MLS systems are going to say, we're going to go private and we're going to disconnect from NAR. We'll be happy to work with NAR. We'd love to work with NAR, but the legal, this doesn't make sense as a business model anymore. So that's my prediction.
Wow.
Yeah.
Josem says, by the same token, a buyer or customer who is paying big money for the home purchase can ask to exclude the listing agent from commissions coming from the money. How do we lose this suit? I love what you're doing. Thank you, Mr. Davis. You're the best.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Our MLS requires us to be part of the board. Is that legal?
Kathleen, yeah, I just said that, right? Yeah. I haven't researched. Listen, I'm not against NAR. I'm pro NAR. I'm pro realtor, for crying out loud. I think that let me tell you something. So here's the challenge that we have. I'm going to tell you what the challenge is. I just want to get to the right slide. Here's the challenge that we have in our association. Let's just look at the President of the United States, not our current president, the concept of President of the United States. That, usually it takes like the first 4 years to figure out what's going on. Like moving the United States is like moving like a big cruise ship. If you want that ship to turn 90 degrees, you've got to start turning like, 6 hours in advance, because it's going to take that long to hook it. And so the problem with our association is that you've got a new president every year. So the first year they're in, they're probably, or the first part of the first year, they're probably just trying to get their bearings. So it's really hard to do what they do. It's incredible that our presidents do what they do. So I forgot what the question was. I'm sorry, Julie. You got to leave those up because.
Sorry.
I forgot what it was now. What was the question? Um, Forgot the question.
Hmm.
All right. So if whoever asked that question, why to ask the question again? Because I knew I had a good point and I lost it. Sorry. So anyway, I guess to not leave it hanging there is that the mistakes that we've made, I think, is because we always have a different chef in the kitchen every year. And it's easy to mess things up when that's the model, right? I'm not advocating that it should be a 2-year term or a 3-year term, but maybe a reelected term would be good, is number one. I will tell you the other thing is we probably should have better legal advice than we've been getting over the years. That should be a change. So, we made a good change when we got rid of the executive officer Goldberg, who was there, because if you look at a lot of the changes and damages that we've had was under his leadership. So, next question, Julie.
So Sarah was like, the question was, our MLS requires us to be part of the board. Is that legal?
Yeah. So my point there is, I have not researched that because I don't want to go down there. It's not an issue. I don't want to be an advocate for going against that. But from what I know, I do think there's a legal challenge there to make brokers, in order to get access to the MLS, that you have to be a NAR member. I see something wrong with that. Is there other people that are not members of the board and have access to it? Is there exceptions to that? Like, I don't want to know that. But I do think there's an antitrust concern there. Next question.
Absolutely. Jan, she backs it up. I'm pro NAR, pro realtor, pro MLS associations, but they must change the antitrust type rules to do this, or you can't.
Yeah, Jan, I agree with you. I think what's happened, I think our association has gotten too too involved in the legalities of what it means to be a real estate agent. The legalities is managed by license law, and associations should help us, which they do. But some of it's a little bit too, they're getting too involved. Like, this is how you should pay people, and this is how you should run your business, and this is how you should put contracts together, and here's a form for you. And I think they expose themselves by getting involved too much in the day-to-day business of what we do. So
the more, all right, better it is, the more it screams antitrust to the outsider, right?
Exactly. All right, listen, gang. So here's what we're going to do is we're going to let you go. We're going to give you back the rest of your day because you got to work. Now, listen, if you're still a guest, now's the time to click, because when this ends, you won't be able to click and get this, and this deal may not be available. I'm not sure when we're going to change this deal, but you should definitely make sure that you get into this program for just the $10 to try it out. Here's the last thing I'm going to say, and then I'll let you guys go, is that, and I have always say this to our power agents, is that you're not an accident. You chose to be a real estate professional. You put yourself in the business because you saw something in it that spoke to your heart. There's opportunity here for your personal life, but what you do is also serve and help others. What you do is make a difference in the world. You are essential, and real estate is your platform to do that. So over these coming weeks and months, as things get clearer and they start to figure itself out and leadership makes changes and etc. In the meantime, it's really important that you be strong, be stronger at, listen, I'm going to say this. I just had something fall in my heart. I've never said this before, and I'm going to share it. I was talking to my son once when he was in high school, and he was saying, "Dad, I don't know what I want to do when I go to college or what I want to be." And I said to him, "Michael, that's not for you to figure out right now. Your job is to master what you're doing now, and so that way when God tells you what your profession is going to be, you're prepared. So right now, just focus on the present and get really good at what you're being taught. So when it does show itself, you're ready." And that's what I'm going to say to you guys. Right now, there's a lot of questions as to where we're going to end up when we get through the other side on this. Your job, though, is to be really prepared for whatever that is. And that is really understanding your business and being skilled at communication. And we're here to help you with that. Don't do this alone. Let us help you through the process, all right? Because this is what we love to do. All right. Thank you for spending your time with us. We appreciate you. Please stay safe, stay focused, and don't forget to keep smiling. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.